Princess Catherine never needed to raise her voice to command attention. For years, the world saw her as the calm, polished royal who followed every rule with perfect precision. She smiled at the cameras, waved gracefully from palace balconies, and carried herself with the kind of elegance that made people compare her to the great royal icons before her. But then came a series of moments so unexpected, so emotional, and so daring that people around the world were left completely speechless. These were not the actions of a woman trapped inside a royal script. These were the actions of a woman slowly rewriting the role of a future queen in real time. The most shocking part was not that Catherine broke tradition. It was how naturally she did it. Every move felt human instead of calculated. Every gesture seemed to come from instinct instead of palace training. And that is exactly why the public could not stop talking about her. Because for the first time in years, people were not just watching a princess. They were watching a real woman navigating pressure, heartbreak, motherhood, illness, and duty while millions judged her every move. One of the biggest moments came during King Charles's coronation. The entire world expected Catherine to appear wearing one of the historic royal tiaras locked away inside palace vaults. The anticipation was enormous. Royal watchers had spent weeks debating which priceless crown she would wear. But when she arrived at Westminster Abbey, jaws dropped instantly. Instead of an ancient tiara dripping in royal history, Catherine wore a modern silver floral headpiece designed by Alexander McQueen and Jess Collett. It was elegant, subtle, and unlike anything expected at such a traditional event. The decision sparked immediate worldwide debate. Some praised her for modernizing the monarchy. Others accused her of disrespecting royal customs that stretched back centuries. But what stunned people most was how confident she looked. She did not appear nervous or apologetic. She walked into the coronation beside Prince William with complete composure, as if she knew exactly what message she was sending. In that single moment, Catherine proved she was not interested in becoming a copy of previous queens. She intended to become something entirely new. And the surprises kept coming. At a royal engagement in Wales, Catherine did something so simple yet so unexpected that clips of it exploded across social media within hours. Instead of keeping the usual royal distance, she bent down and embraced a crying child who had broken through the crowd barriers trying to meet her. Palace protocol traditionally discourages physical contact beyond handshakes. Royals are expected to maintain a certain distance to preserve formality. But Catherine ignored all of it. She wrapped her arms around the little girl and stayed there for several seconds while cameras flashed everywhere around her. People watching were stunned because the moment felt incredibly genuine. It reminded older royal fans of Princess Diana, who famously broke royal barriers by touching patients with AIDS during a time when people feared simple contact. Catherine's hug was not political or dramatic, but emotionally it carried the same power. It showed warmth over protocol, humanity over tradition. And suddenly people realized something important. Catherine was quietly changing the emotional relationship between the monarchy and the public. Then there was the moment nobody expected at the BAFTA Awards. Royal couples are usually extremely careful in public. Displays of affection are rare. Their body language is often controlled and formal because every tiny interaction becomes international news. But during a playful exchange on the red carpet, Catherine reached over and gave Prince William a teasing pat on the backside while they laughed together. The cameras caught everything. Within minutes, the internet erupted. Some people called it adorable. Others called it shocking. Royal commentators replayed the footage repeatedly on television panels, analyzing every second of the interaction. What made the moment unforgettable was not the gesture itself. It was the fact that Catherine looked relaxed enough to completely forget the cameras for a split second. People suddenly saw a glimpse of the real marriage behind the palace walls. Not a royal performance. Not a carefully rehearsed image. Just two people genuinely comfortable with each other. For years, critics claimed royal marriages looked cold and robotic in public. But that tiny playful moment shattered the image instantly. It humanized them in a way official speeches never could. Still, nothing prepared the world for the emotional video Catherine released in 2024. 4 months, wild speculation had spread online about her disappearance from public life. Rumors flooded social media every single day. Some people questioned her health. Others spread bizarre conspiracy theories about her marriage and the royal family. The pressure became relentless. Every blurry photograph sparked new headlines. Every palace statement triggered more suspicion. Then Catherine appeared on camera alone. No grand palace background. No dramatic royal introduction. Just Catherine sitting quietly and speaking directly to the public in her own words. Her voice was calm but emotional. And when she revealed she had been undergoing cancer treatment, the entire world seemed to stop at once. People were speechless not only because of the diagnosis itself, but because of the honesty in her delivery. She did not sound like a royal reading prepared palace language. She sounded like a mother trying to explain something painful to other families who might understand fear and uncertainty. It was vulnerable in a way modern royals almost never allow themselves to be. The reaction was immediate. Even critics who had spent weeks fueling conspiracy theories suddenly apologized publicly. Television hosts who mocked her disappearance backtracked overnight. Social media users deleted cruel posts in embarrassment. In one video, Catherine managed to completely change the tone of the global conversation. That moment may ultimately become one of the defining turning points of her entire royal journey. Because instead of hiding behind palace walls, she chose honesty. And in doing so, she connected with people more deeply than any carefully staged royal appearance ever could. But Catherine's most surprising moments are not always dramatic. Sometimes they are small details that reveal a bigger shift happening inside the monarchy. Take fashion for example. Royal women have long been expected to follow extremely traditional appearance standards. Neutral nail polish, conservative hairstyles, predictable colors. But Catherine slowly started experimenting in subtle ways that kept making headlines. One appearance featured bold red nail polish that instantly sparked controversy because brighter shades were long considered inappropriate for senior royals. Another event showed her wearing relaxed hairstyles with loose strands framing her face instead of the perfectly sculpted royal blowouts people expected. To ordinary people these changes might sound tiny. But inside royal culture they were enormous signals. They showed a future queen becoming more comfortable expressing individuality instead of strict conformity. Even her clothing choices started carrying hidden messages. Catherine became famous for repeating outfits instead of constantly wearing expensive new designer pieces. While some critics mocked her for recycling dresses, many people admired the decision. At a time when families around the world faced financial struggles, seeing a princess confidently rewear outfits made her appear relatable instead of untouchable. And perhaps that is Catherine's greatest strength. She understands that modern royalty survives through connection, not distance. That understanding became especially clear during visits involving children and mental health campaigns. Unlike older generations of royals who maintained rigid formality, Catherine often kneels down to speak directly at eye level with children. She listens carefully instead of rushing through conversations. During hospital visits, teachers and nurses frequently describe how she stays longer than scheduled because she genuinely wants to hear people's stories. One particularly emotional moment happened during a visit to a children's hospice. Cameras captured Catherine sitting quietly beside a grieving mother, holding her hand while the woman cried. There were no speeches, no dramatic statements, just silence and compassion. The footage spread online because viewers could see the interaction was real. Catherine was not performing sympathy for cameras. She was simply present for someone in pain. Those moments are why public fascination with her continues growing year after year. Yet behind all the grace and composure lies immense pressure. Being the Princess of Wales means existing under non-stop scrutiny. Every outfit becomes international news. Every facial expression gets analyzed online. Every interaction fuels headlines. Catherine has spent over 2 decades living inside one of the most intense public spotlights on Earth. When she first dated Prince William, tabloids cruelly nicknamed her Weighty Katie, mocking the length of their relationship before engagement. Later, critics attacked her family background, her parenting, her weight, and even the way she spoke. There were periods where paparazzi followed her constantly. Privacy became almost impossible. And still, she rarely fought back publicly. Instead, she endured quietly while building her reputation slowly through consistency and resilience. That patience may be exactly why people respect her so deeply now. Catherine never tried to dominate attention through scandals or explosive interviews. She earned admiration gradually through discipline and stability. Prince William himself reportedly relies heavily on her support behind palace doors. Royal insiders often describe Catherine as the emotional center of the future monarchy. While William carries enormous pressure as heir to the throne, Catherine is said to bring calm and balance during moments of stress. Their partnership became even more important following King Charles's health struggles and Catherine's own illness. Suddenly, the future king and queen were no longer distant future figures. They became symbols of continuity during uncertain times for the royal family. And despite every challenge, Catherine continued stepping forward. During one public appearance after completing treatment, crowds erupted into cheers the moment she appeared. People were visibly emotional seeing her smiling again. Some held signs wishing her strength. Others cried openly. It was not the reaction people usually reserve for royalty. It felt personal. That is what makes Catherine different from many modern public figures. People do not simply admire her title. They feel emotionally invested in her journey. Of course, not everyone supports her. Critics argue that the monarchy itself represents outdated privilege. Others believe Catherine benefits from softer media treatment compared to Meghan Markle. Discussions surrounding race, class, media bias, and royal hierarchy continue fueling fierce debates online. The royal family remains one of the most polarizing institutions in the world. But even many critics admit Catherine possesses remarkable discipline under pressure. In an era where celebrities often respond instantly to controversy, Catherine remains careful, measured, and controlled. That restraint has become part of her mystique. Still, there are moments where flashes of personality break through the royal image completely. At sporting events, cameras often catch Catherine becoming fiercely competitive and animated. During tennis matches at Wimbledon, her reactions can become surprisingly expressive. During rugby appearances, she laughs loudly and celebrates enthusiastically. Those spontaneous moments remind people that beneath the polished royal exterior is someone with genuine passions and emotions. And perhaps that balance explains why she continues captivating global audiences. Catherine represents both tradition and change at the same time. She respects royal duty, yet constantly modernizes it through small but meaningful actions. She hugs children when protocol says keep distance. She speaks honestly about illness when royal culture traditionally values silence. She reveals humor and affection in public when previous generations remained emotionally guarded. None of these actions seem revolutionary on their own. But together, they paint the portrait of a woman gradually reshaping one of the oldest institutions in the world without ever loudly announcing it. As the years move forward and the monarchy continues evolving, Catherine's role will only become more important. One day she is expected to become queen beside King William. The pressure of that future is almost unimaginable. Every decision she makes today is already shaping expectations for the monarchy of tomorrow. And if recent years proved anything, it is this. Catherine is no longer simply following royal history. She is actively creating it. The world once viewed her as the quiet university student who married a prince. But now people see something far more complex.